Hey everyone, how's it all going? We have a camera now,
Woo!
which is exciting. The full experience, the full package. You get to see my ugly mug, and Alexis is, she's good looking. She's cute. She's all done up.
I am not done up. The hell? Are you saying that I'm only cute when I'm done up? Because
Oh my god, I'm gonna get myself hit.
yeah, yes you will.
I'll walk out. That's fine. It was a good podcast. It was a good run. Episode 3 is
Episode 3, R.I.P. to Nick.
Just everything falls apart. Last time we were doing this, we did a metal episode with During Grave, J Rock, and everything. So we're keeping with the rotation. We're back on with anime.
We forgot to say, welcome to the Metal Waifu podcast.
It is. That's true. It is the Metal Waifu podcast.
Hey.
With Nick and Alexis.
Yo, what up?
Same as usual. How you been?
Just doing everything.
We were excited to do this during quarantine because we had all the free time in the world. Like, we're gonna do this. It's gonna be great and everything. And then we finally watch it, and everything in our lives kind of was like, "Hey, you want to be busy now?" And we're like, okay.
You want to hate your life? Oh, okay,
Yay. Cool. We're going to make a podcast that's right now mostly just for hobby, which, I mean, we're having fun and everything like that, and it's a good thing. It's great. It's awesome. But, we'll see how long this goes for. Anywho, we decided to keep with the motif, back to reiterating back to that. We decided to get back onto anime, but instead of doing something a little more silly and fun, like the weeb vocabulary, and coming off of doing something more analytical, like During Gray, we're gonna go into something more analytical with an anime that we've decided to watch. And I think we made the right choice in terms of the first anime we should watch, which was one, a single season, and two, only 12 episodes, which helped in the process of watching it and analyzing it and getting it out into the world. It was good. It wasn't like we were starting in like JoJo's and like, hey, let's go watch season 1. It's like 34 episodes. Well, I don't want to do that.
No.
We'll eventually do that at some point and hate ourselves. But for now, we started with something a little more condensed, and that is Goblin Slayer.
Goblin Slayer.
That was awful. I'm gonna move on. You may wanna.
I'm just here.
We're here. Yeah, it's just here. I'll dig my own grave. It's fine. We watched Goblin Slayer, and it was for me, and reiterating back, I want to hear your opinion first, because this was partially up my alley. I'm a big fantasy guy. I like my Dungeons and Dragons. I like all that kind of stuff. So I want to hear your side of it first before I go into my side, because I have understandings and thoughts and feelings, and not everything in the show is like perfect, but it's a thing. It's a show, and I want to hear what you got to say. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So it was an interesting experience for me. I don't hate it. I don't know if I love it though. It wasn't unbearable to get through, except for that god awful episode they did after episode 10, which was just a recap of the entire anime. Hello, I have hands to throw.
I saw that. The thumbnail and everything. I'm like, I don't need to watch that, and I just want to.
Yeah, I literally looked at the Crunchyroll comments and they were like, "Don't watch this." I'm like, "Cool, all right, thanks."
You just did it.
Like, yeah. I think I watched like the first 10 minutes and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it is legitimate. Because I think in the description they try to explain it, or they spin it as it's supposed to be Cowgirl's point of view, like how she views what he does. And I'm like, it's literally exactly the same. What the fuck? Hello?
Yeah.
No. I'm offended by your misleading description on your own episode, but whatever,
Sure, it's fine. This is fine. Yeah, I saw it was like episode SP, right? Was that what it said?
Or SE or something like that.
Yeah. I saw that, and I saw the description. I'm like, oh, this is just a recap episode. I can skip this one. I didn't watch that.
Yeah, it literally was just a play-by-play. And I was watching it, and I was like, so what you could do right now is hand this episode to somebody, and they know the entire thing. They know the whole season. You didn't need to watch anything else. So I was like, this show has a lot more filler than I thought it did for 12 episodes.
Right. Well, okay, so getting back to that, because I thought about that too. The whole reason why I think we wanted to get into this series is I talked to my buddies about it, and I'd seen off of Facebook randomly, like somebody had uploaded it, the first episode, and it was like maybe like a few months ago. And somebody was posted it up and said, "Yo, you need to see this stuff. It's intense." And I'm like,
just episode 1. It's that running meme of the anime opening versus the anime.
Oh yeah.
It's that running. It's that whole meme.
Absolutely. So the best way I can describe the opening, the first episode, and actually the series, is it's reverse Berserk. It starts heavy.
Yeah.
It starts really heavy, and then it lightens itself up as you go through it. Still hints here and there of and there's specific parts, and we'll get into it. But it definitely dials it back as you go through, which as an anime, and like if you're trying to start off and everything and go into this like as anime as a genre, it's not a bad one to start with, but you have to understand you can be given the choice of watching the first episode or not.
Yeah.
I would say like you can either be read a description of it and just be told, "Hey, goblins are awful, 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 awful. Oh my god, why? Hello."
Yeah, I think hold on, I just want to pull up I wrote notes for some of these, and these are just like initial reactions I had to moments.
She pulled a reverse me. I have 0 notes. I decided I went into this blind, and just my thoughts and ideas are out here because after the last few episodes, I got really intense.
Well, the only reason I did this was just because I thought it would be funny to revisit, and sometimes I forget exactly like very specific things, but I know what those moments are based off of my comments.
Right.
But literally all I have for episode 1 is first fight with goblins. Fucking brutal. Was totally not prepared for these scenes. Literally so uncomfortable. And then I put intro of Goblin Slayer because I put intro for whenever I got a new character, and then it just says fucking rookies, bro.
Fucking rookies.
Fucking rookies. I said, why can't she run and jump? Oh my god!
It's funny because it's true.
As this girl is running down a cave. This is not going to spoil really anything. She's running down a cave, and there's a trip line, and she makes eye contact with that trip line as she's running, and jumps and eats shit. I have problems. Why can't this woman run and jump? She just, oh my god. Let's not even get on the fact that she's apparently 15. She's 15, and she's an adult. You're
just hitting all the problems I've had.
She told that guild, "I'm an adult now. I want to be an adventurer."
Listen, we're forward-thinking progressive millennials here, but you know what?
Me at 15 would not know what the hell. Like, I gotta be.
Where's my Xbox?
Like, you mean I gotta pay for my own food? What
Excuse
the fuck?
me, Mom, can you make the mac and cheese real quick?
Please help.
Help, Mom, hello? No, all right. So, at some point, I think I want to go into detail about the story, some of the story part, the aspects of the story.
Yeah.
And I feel like at some point we're going to have to be spoilers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I think at a certain point we'll go into spoilers, but we can just kind of give our general thoughts and ideas beforehand.
I mean, I feel like if you're gonna click on this, then you would know that there's spoilers. So
well, yeah, but I also don't like some videos they'll do the go to this timestamp to avoid spoilers, or after a certain point they'll go into the general thing. Yeah, I know we're not that fancy.
There's going to be spoilers thrown in all around here because I'm not going to think about that. I'm just going to say it right now.
So we can safely okay. Ahead now. If you want to understand and join us in the thing, watch Goblin Slayer. It's 12 episodes. It's a single season. It's free on Crunchyroll. Not sponsored. Not yet. Call us. Go ahead and do it now. just watch it. It's easy, and then come back and listen to our dumb banter, and then it's a double piece.
I feel like whoever is looking for Goblin Slayer content has watched the show.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I feel like it's
yes.
very niche. So
Not as much as I thought it was. I think there's some like
really because I feel like Demon Slayer took over when it came to like a Slayer title. It was like Demon Slayer.
Yeah,
Ain't no Goblin Slayer up in here.
That's definitely. I just because I was on Crunchyroll, I decided to download the Crunchyroll app, and I'm now just like looking through stuff I want to watch after watching Goblin Slayer, and Demon Slayer is on that list. I actually haven't watched it yet.
I haven't either.
The sole reason I want to watch it, the sole reason I actually want to watch it is because Homeboy with the hog head and the double swords. It's
a cool character.
That is so aesthetic for me. It's perfect. It's so good. So at this point, spoilers. First episode. The best way I can describe the first episode of Goblin Slayer,
Brutal.
it's fucking brutal, and it's just somebody's first D&D campaign, and the players do everything fucking wrong.
That's what it felt like. I was like, this is a D&D game gone really wrong.
So like watching the first episode, I'm like, this is somebody's first D&D game. The DM's like, hey guys, I'm gonna set you up with a good goblin quest and everything. I'll throw in the NPCs to be like, oh hey guys, get them spooked a little bit, get them a little freaked out, and be like, oh, you're going to face goblins. They're really dangerous, but they're goblins. Who cares? And they proceed to roll like utter garbage, and the dungeon master it makes the guy like his dice rolls are on fire. On fire. Every single time a goblin goes up to them, if I'm going to say it, he rapes them.
Which they did.
He did.
That was the part that made me so uncomfortable. Like they start taking off these girls' clothes, and I'm like, they're not doing. Oh my god, they're in.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I thought you already knew about that.
No, I didn't.
Oh my god!
I actually went into this knowing literally nothing.
I knew about. So my point was I knew about the first episode.
Oh, see, I didn't.
I knew about the first episode going into it, so I was fully aware. I didn't know you had the blind. Oh, girl, yeah, I'm sorry.
That's why I'm saying I was looking at my TV and just like,
excuse me.
Yeah, I just
what?
I'm literally like cozied up on my futon and just like oh my god!
Really, in front of my salad?
A part of me was like, do I want to go to episode 2? I'm scared now.
But that's just it. So the way episode starts off is you meet first off, none of the characters are named.
Yeah, nobody has a name.
Everyone's named after their archetype. So the female priestess is she goes by a priestess, and she's going off to do a quest. She's trying to be an adventurer, and they have like ranks. They're based off of these tags they have, and they're porcelain rank, and they're the new news,
silver and
all that stuff.
Porcelain, silver, platinum.
There's like ruby and all. They don't really go too much into the rank system and everything. They just say stuff about it. But she comes in and she wants to be an adventurer. She wants to do all she's 15 and an adult.
Yeah, she says that to the woman at the desk. She goes, "I'm 15 and I'm an adult now, so I want to do whatever." And I'm like, "You're 15?"
Nah.
I barely knew how to wash my own clothes at 15. Hello?
Same. I didn't know how to wash my clothes. Mom did that shit. It's great. Love you, Mom. But so she gets met up with these group of 3 other adventurers. Like basically, you're a fighter, a wizard, and a monk. Mm-hmm. And they decide to take
there was a monk?
Yeah, the one chick, she was a monk.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't look up all of them. I just was like, wow.
I don't think they explicitly said it, but she the way she acted and fought, she was a monk. She didn't have any like.
I was gonna say most anybody's character type. I had to wiki
really?
that because like they don't say any of their names. Everybody's got the weird nicknames like what is it, Scaly and Long Ears,
Scaly, Long Ears, and Beard Cutter. I had initially
Beard Cutter.
I was trying to understand why he called him Beard Cutter the entire time. Like, was there a story? I'm like, oh no, it's because he cuts his beard. That's why. I'm like, oh. I like the dwarf, but
I love their whole team. That like the lizard priest is one of my favorite characters ever.
Oh my god,
his obsession with cheese, his obsession with cheese is everything.
So you get to that stuff after you get through that first episode, sir. You can hold up right there. You don't just dive right in, you know. But yeah, so they decided to take up a goblin quest, and this world is running off of our tropes, our understanding of goblins. They're minions. They're fodder. They're low rank. Like they're nothing much, except for like the quest giver knows about it, and she's kind of like, you guys be okay out there. You know, goblins. You know, they could give you some trouble. And then they go to deal with the goblins and proceed to split the party. The tank, the fighter, and the monk decide to go off into the cave trying to find other stuff because they find like one of the shaman's totems or whatever. Goes off, leaves behind the cleric and the mage.
Yeah, I'm like the two people you need the most. You're like, bye. You'll be fine.
You can see I can see the DM's look when he hears that, and he's like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want?" And they're like, "Yeah, let's go. Just go this way." And he's like,
"We don't want them to get hurt."
Go ahead. Just continue on. Oh God. And so of course the priest and the mage start getting attacked by goblins. And the
the goblins are attracted to women and children, by the way.
Yeah.
Like that's their playthings.
Yeah, they call it playthings. Yeah.
It's
they have their reasoning for it where it's like that's the only way they I guess reproduce or whatever. It's still gross and it's weird and it's the best.
Also just an awful experience.
Absolutely.
Like, dear God.
Here's the thing about the first episode, and it does the one job that it needed to do. It needed to establish that the goblins are the fucking worst things ever in existence.
Yeah, it didn't want you to have any sympathy.
None. It made sure that you, as an audience member, understood that these aren't. Because, like, in D&D games I played before, people played goblins, and they're like, hee, I'm a goblin, hoo-hoo. The author and the whole staff wanted you to understand that these things are awful. They need to die, and Goblin Slayer's here to do it. But before Goblin Slayer shows up, the party gets wrecked. The tank, the fighter keeps on hitting his sword in the top of the cave because the longsword's too long. It's too long, and so he hits it on the ceiling, and the goblins destroy him.
Dude, they cut his
arm off. They cut. Editing is a great part of the show, by the way.
Yeah,
There's some
it really
good
is
cuts.
because they basically show you, and then they're like, nah.
No, just enough. They'll show you other things, but whatever.
Well, it depends if it applies for fan service or not, sir.
Sir, excuse me. Hold on a second. Why did I turn to the lead singer of the B-52s? Oh God. Anywho, so he gets his arm cut off. The mage gets hit with a poison dagger, which paralyzes her. And the priest heals her, but she doesn't heal the weakness. So the poison. So she drags her off as the monk proceeds to awful, terrible things, and
so
it's rough. It's bad. It's
like I don't get uncomfortable very easily. But that was tough.
Please refer to our Dur and Gray review about how uncomfortable you don't really get because they have some uncomfortable stuff. But then Goblin Slayer was like, hold up.
Yeah, that was like really, really pushing because there's like I've seen that idea before of like I don't know why it always ends up being goblins, but goblins going after women and like that's kind of like a weird common thing. And I was like, oh God, it's back.
That depends on what your like source you're looking at. The goblins here in this series, going back to one of the things I actually really like about this show is that being the fact that I've played Dungeons and Dragons, I played Warhammer. The goblins are very Warhammer-esque in certain aspects, not the raping part. But they one of the theories in the show, and it happens early on, is that the goblins come from the moons. There's two moons. There's like a green moon and a smaller red moon, and they come from this green moon. And from Warhammer, they worship moon gods and everything like that. In that universe, and that was interesting. I noticed those little hints of influences throughout. The biggest thing is Dungeons and Dragons, and that first episode kind of it definitely feels that way, especially with the party.
The hell, most of the episode, I was like, "Is this based off of Dungeons and Dragons?" I had to Google it. I was like, "Was this written before this?"
So So, by the way, this was based off of a light novel. It was like 2008, and then it was made into a manga at some point. And this is the anime series of it. I don't know if they've have any more of the story. Apparently, they're maybe working on a season 2.
Well, episode 12 said more is to come. I don't know
did
if it.
they?
Yeah, it literally like that end card of the episode was Goblin Slayer will return.
Gotcha.
But I don't know if that was in reference to Goblin's Crown coming out.
And we'll give you the heads up on that one. We didn't watch Goblin's Crown yet. We might do that at a later episode. Or
Don't watch the first 25 minutes because it's all a recap. I already skipped through it to get to the. Once you get to literally minute 25 is when the new stuff starts.
Oh my god, that's great.
So.
Anyway, I mean, that's not bad if like you just don't you don't have time to watch all 12 episodes, but it's 12 episodes. You got time. It's quarantine, dude. It's quarantine. You got time. That's 6 hours. Come on. Anywho,
Until you find out they're all essential workers watching.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
They're like, wow.
We appreciate you. But so the basically the fighting ends. The priestess is basically the last one who kind of is around. She's in a panic. The goblins are about to attack her. She pisses herself.
Oh wow, that part I was like, oh
Yeah, that's a thing in anime? Is that a thing? I swear I've seen it in other things before.
yeah, kind of.
That's weird. Again, no. But emphasis on fear and everything. I guess whatever. And then the Goblin Slayer shows up. Now,
Oh boy.
the Goblin Slayer is. I see his tropes in the character himself as the series goes along. He has a lot of Conan the Barbarian vibes in terms of his bluntness and his stoicness.
I kind of love him.
Oh, hell yeah! You love Goblin. Goblin Slayer is he's not only the protagonist of the show. He is actually he's probably the most intricate and deeply written of it because it's his story.
Yeah.
But they do some neat stuff with him. And the funny part is that this show, like I'm watching this show and then I'm also watching The Mandalorian, and there's some parallels, especially sort of like it's a like a man with no name situation. Yeah. It's a wanderer. He's a wanderer, and you don't see his face. Specifically, you don't see his face, like much like in The Mandalorian. But he shows up, and he just starts wrecking house. He goes in. Every time he kills a goblin, he counts. Like he starts going through and just the first episode probably has some of the. It's probably the best looking of the series. Like that first episode really sells it.
Oh yeah.
And then he finally gets to like where the leader is. It's just like I think it's a goblin shaman.
Yeah.
Goes in, and also you can tell that the person who wrote this also completely understands D&D, because if you play D&D, you know the first thing you go after if you're playing like a fighter or a melee kind of combatant, you always go for the caster first, because you know that guy's gonna be like, I'm gonna cast my spells, and you gotta make saves, and you're like, nah, it's not, nah, fam.
Chair.
Oh, sorry. What was it, the hand or the chair?
No, the chair.
Okay.
Like right. Jesus.
It's creaky.
I know.
All right. But you know to go after the spellcaster first, and he does that right there. Throws a dagger, done. Kill some more goblins, and then they find the monk, who she's alive, but
she's in full kill me mode.
Yeah, she's just like, nah, I saw shit, man. Nope. Nuh-uh. And then the episode freaking ends with he goes into like the back of the cave, and there's like this little alcove, and in the alcove there's like goblin kids. That's a TV show, Goblin Kids. Whoa. Right. Except it ends with him basically burning them alive.
Yeah, and that was when he taught Priestess that she can't have any mercy for the children because they'll never be any different.
There will be vengeance. They will want to seek.
Yeah, they hold grudges for life.
They hold grudges for life, and it's the goblin abortion. That's what it is.
Yeah,
that's what it is. And I'm just that's the first episode. He goes back, and the priestess basically is best buddies with the Goblin Slayer.
Yeah.
And now that she wants to learn from him, and they go off to do whatever. And so, episode 2. there's a little bit of it's kind of a filler episode because it basically just gives you backstory on the Goblin Slayer.
No.
Okay, what you got for that?
I just said hello fan service, Jesus. This is when Cowgirl wakes up.
Oh my god!
And just jiggle physics out the window, literally
Dude,
out the window.
She looks like a DOA character.
Dear Lord,
It was she goes out the window to say hi, Goblin Slayer, and just
like whoa,
like ma'am.
And also, I mean, when she first wakes up, you get to see her naked. It's just not a full frontal, but it's like enough side that you get the whole curvature of the breast and the butt, and you're like,
yeah.
But she is completely naked.
Yeah. It's the Peter Griffin. You're like shite boob.
Yeah.
Here's some shite boob.
Here's some shite boob.
Here's shite boob. She shows up, but the whole episode's point is it's basically giving you some of the reasons to why he does what he does, because it just shows you glimpses of clearly his village was attacked. The cowgirl, which that's her name, is Cowgirl in the anime, because she's
a farmer.
She's a farmer. She farms with their uncle.
The farmer's niece.
Yeah. But she used to be childhood friends with the Goblin Slayer. She moved out of town, like to the capital, which is the big city in this world. Mm-hmm. I guess his village got attacked by goblins, and he lost his family, and
he witnessed it.
He
was hiding the whole time.
Mm-hmm, he saw it all.
The idea of watching your older sister, oh god,
no.
Thank you.
Still in the steep territory. Episode 2, still some steepness, but not as, I guess, aggressively. But it just gives you some background.
Flashbacks.
It's flashbacks, and it's flashbacks. But there's some character development. There's some. It's not really the most memorable episode as far as I think it's mostly just the character stuff.
My favorite note I put was enter douchebag character, which is the spearman.
Oh my god!
I was like, enter douchebag character.
Oh, he's talking. That's the part where he's talking about like slaying the dragon, right?
Yeah, he's like flirting with her.
That's right. He's talking about.
Like, my big sword.
I showed my big sword. I killed the dragon. You think I'm big and strong? And then the Goblin Slayer shows up, and she's just like, "Give me that dick."
Everybody loves that man.
Dude, he is.
I literally, the amount of times that I wrote, she is so in love. She is also so in love. Like, this man is drowning in it right now.
That's the other aspect of him that I was like, this is very Conan the Barbarian, is he ain't got time for thoughts.
No, he really doesn't.
He don't have time for that. And there's a specific part in one of the episodes that specifically points to he ain't goblin slaying, he don't care.
Oh yeah.
It ain't killing goblins, he's just straight through.
Except if what happens in the later episode.
But episode 2 is a lot of that. It introduces some of the adventurers, which are side characters, and during the filler episodes, they'll cut to them doing like some of their activities. A lot of the filler episodes give you kind of some of the world building and how kind of the questing works and all that. It's not.
And they tell you several times that the gods are rolling the dice, or the gods have chose not to roll the dice.
So it fully goes into it's just a D&D game.
Yeah, it's just a big game.
Yeah, so I think it's episode 2 that does the introduces the anime intro, right? Or is it the third episode?
Yeah, it's the second.
Okay.
Because I think that's also the first time that the girl does the little like monologue of like the gods were rolling the dice and they got bored one day of rolling dice, so they created the world.
Yeah, so they're basically the gods are just D&D players on like a grid map, and because they cut to scenes of them rolling like D6s and D20s and all that. I'm like, oh, they're going straight into the D&D motif. They're going head first into it, because I figured that first episode felt like watching a D&D game going on, and then as you continued on, you're like, oh, all right, you're just putting your influences out there, which I'm perfectly fine with. And as a fellow D&D, mouth breather, I fully understand that I'm absolutely down for it. But as episode 2 carries on, it goes into episode 3, which deals with side stuff going on with like demon lords and the capital and other races.
That's when the rest of the crew gets introduced.
So you're actually introduced to the real party, and the real party is popping.
It's amazing.
It's great.
I love them so much.
The side characters in the party are some of the best characters in the show. You're introduced to the lizard folk summoner, which I think is what he goes by. He's supposed to be a dragonborn because that's what they are in D&D.
No.
But he actually is a little more based off of lizard men from Warhammer, because they do the same thing. They'll summon their dead ancestors. They believe in their gods. Oh, it's so cool. He does a prayer every time. He's praying to his ancestor Iguanodon or whatever, and he summons up every time he does a spell, he prays to one of his gods and everything. The priestess does the same thing. She always prays to Earth Mother. You're interested in that. The dwarf I initially thought was a drunken master monk. But then he started casting spells, and so the dwarf's actually a mage, which is interesting. It's a little out of trope for dwarves and everything, but I like the way he is. He still drinks wine, which is interesting. Fire wine.
Gets fucking drunk.
It gets wasted, and then you're introduced to the elven ranger, who initially you meet, and she's
high elf archer.
Oh, that's right. She's a high elf, which is weird.
She's got really long ears.
Well, yeah, but usually there'd be more wood elves as rangers and all that, and she looks like homegirl from Ocarina of Time. Yeah,
Ocarina.
I said Ocarina. I did. I did. I just noticed. I was hoping it'd slide by.
Excuse you.
So I just wanted it to slide on through, and you're just like, nah, fam, we're getting stabbed. What's her name? Wasn't it Sophie or whatever? Anyhow, not dwelling on that, but. She's a ranger, and you meet her initially. She gets more sassy as the series goes on. She initially starts off pretty straight laced, but then as it goes through, she talks about, I've been 2,000 years old, but she sometimes acts pretty bratty and sassy. But it's great for her character.
I think I wrote that. Oh yeah, I said elf is 2,000 years old, dwarf is 107.
Yeah.
And she's like, you don't look it, and it's like, oh,
don't
poor
make
dwarf.
Poor dwarf man. And their big things is their big character traits are the dwarf is always calls the lizard folk scaly, the elf is long ears, and the Goblin Slayer is beard cutter. And then the lizard folk is he's pretty chill, pretty relaxed, until he's introduced to cheese.
I love him so much
because
so cute.
They meet up with the Goblin Slayer and the priestess because he's like, I don't want to work with you guys. You're not killing goblins. And they're like, well, actually, the way we're going, apparently the goblins are on the way there to where we're, what we're trying to deal with and everything. So come along with us because you're good at that. And so they go on this whole trek, and they go stop and set up camp and everything. And they, regale each other with stories. They're drinking. The lizard folk finds what cheese is. It's a lot of character building. It's very, it's one of the things I like about the certain aspects of the show is when they do have filler, it feels like when you're playing a game of D&D, you're having those off times where you're not fighting or having combat, or you're just bullshitting with your buddies. It has that warm vibe to it. And it's weird because the first episode starts off with horrific shit, and as you're going through the series, like, oh, this is nice. This is pleasant. This is a good time. This is enjoyable. So we get to episode 4. It finally gets back into some combat. You get they go to this temple where the goblins are holed up, and they kill 2 goblins at the front. And one of the things that gets introduced in the first episode is Goblin Slayer covers himself in the blood of the goblins so he can hide his scent.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's the whole thing.
Yeah. There's various little tropes he does here and there. Various things he does to the guys himself. He doesn't repair his armor. He doesn't do any of that.
Keeps the scent on it.
Yeah. So he cuts in the goblin. He starts cutting into it and starts putting blood on his rag. And the elf's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I cover up our scent." She's like, "You're crazy. You're nuts."
And then he's just like, they're attracted to women, children, and elves. And she's just like, damn it.
No, the best part is the dead look the priestess gives her when she's you'll get used to it.
Yeah, she's like, you'll get used to this, and just keeps walking. Aw.
She keeps going through. You're just like, what? She's full setted. She has drank the Kool-Aid of, we need to kill some goblins.
Yeah, dear God.
Which the play on that episode is as they're going through their standard goblin stuff and everything, but I forget what leads him to figuring out that somebody else was controlling them, because they find out that it's an ogre or like an oni.
Yeah, there's an ogre.
Yeah, which is it's like a minor demon or something.
I think he just came out. Like, what do you mean as far as like how they figured it out?
Right. Well, no, there's something alluding to the fact that wasn't there something that was alluding to the fact that that the goblins were working with somebody else? I thought there was with that one specifically. I know later on there is, which that I'm gonna get into that part and have my questions. But you find out that there's an oni that's controlling all of them, and there's a pretty dope fight scene that happens. It's actually one of the first scenes where you kind of see the Goblin Slayer get pretty messed up.
Yeah, dear God.
Yeah, he gets rocked hard. But they're still successful, and it's nice. I think it was either early on in episode 3. Oh, one of the other characters, we missed out on that. That's friends with the spearman. Is this
that fucking witch?
Good Lord!
Oh, the way she talks is infuriating. And literally her subtitles are first word ... second word, and I'm like, oh my God, this woman,
this bitch lives off ellipses.
She is gone all the time.
She is smoking the finest kush.
Yeah, dear God.
She's always smoking like a long like Cruella de Vil-esque cigarette,
and she shoves things in between her tits to give to you, and so it's just like you get the fan service of her just going between her fucking boobs, and you're like, what are you doing?
Ma'am,
stop it! I'm so uncomfortable.
Please help. I need it all. Wasn't the second or third episode the one where the two rookie adventurers go into the cave or go into the tunnels to kill giant rats?
I think that's episode 5 because I have fucking rookies as the first comment, which is probably them.
Okay, all right. Because so she introduces herself to the priestess, to kind of let her know that the Goblin Slayer is definitely kind of a loner. Definitely on his own. But the correlation and the payoff is she told her that she had made scrolls for the Goblin Slayer.
Yeah.
And she told her like in her up and down. That's the way she talked. She told her that he asked for weird scrolls from her, and she didn't really understand why. And it comes back to this final fight they have, where he uses a scroll that leads directly to the ocean.
Yeah, it's a gate scroll. Yeah.
Yeah,
he just brings the ocean to drown this man.
Right, but what happens is that he basically uses the pressure out of the gate that gushes out water from the ocean, and the pressure's so aggressive that it cuts up the oni.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. Like he just woke up and was just like a torso.
Yeah, he was like the best part is after the Goblin Slayer kills him, is like, goblins are more troublesome than you are, my dude. And I'm just like,
yeah, that was the insult. Jesus,
holy God, that's like that dude went back to hell and was just like, I just got insulted that way. Oh, I can't come back here. And they're just like, oh, who killed you? Goblin Slayer? Who the fuck's a Goblin Slayer?
Right.
So, continuing forward, episode 5 is more. Episode 5 is more filler back to the crew and everything, back to like the adventurers and everything, because the party just met up and all that. They decide they want to still hang out with each other. You know, he's hopefully making friends out of the crew. But you're also seeing other adventurers do stuff. And one of those group of adventurers is it's a fighter and this chick. I don't know what the chick is. I don't know what class she is.
I have no idea what she is.
Yeah, but they're going out to kill some giant rats.
In the sewers.
Because
apparently, when you're a rookie, the sewers are the good place to start.
Well, yeah, that's such a RPG trope. You go in the sewers. If your dungeon master comes to you and is like, all right, cool, we're gonna go do our first adventure. All right, you're gonna go into the sewers and kill some giant rats. You're like, all right, well, fair enough. I mean, you just go with it. But homeboy loses his sword.
Oh yeah, because he gets stuck in it. He gets stuck in the rat and he can't get it out. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this man,
sir.
That's why my comment of fucking rookies, because man, these two were infuriating and they show up so many times. I'm like, you guys are garbage.
Trash.
This is why you have normal colored hair, because you're garbage.
This is why you look bland as shit.
Yeah.
Just because this is why your animation quality is, is because of that. Which I guess that's one thing we point out too, is that there's definitely certain points in the show where the animation quality, I guess maybe it's like true for like some animes or whatever, but there's definitely points where the anime peaks in terms of its animation, and there's certain points where it's, I don't understand
the amount of work that goes into a couple. Like, did you notice the couple times when Goblin Slayer was like high definition compared to everyone else? And I was
high
like,
definition in 3D.
yeah, he was like super. I'm like, that looks great. I'm like, but it doesn't fit the scene.
No,
He's
not
like,
at all.
He doesn't blend with anything.
So it was giving me the problem that like the new Berserk series gave me. Don't watch it.
Keep going.
Okay. It was giving me the same issue that the Berserk series gave me, which was it's all in 3. It's like in 3D or whatever, and it's distracting because it's that weird blend. But it doesn't happen that often. It only happens with Goblin Slayer. It goes 3D, or sometimes if they do scenes where there's multiple goblins, they'll do CGI goblins. It's not as bad as Berserk. Berserk is the newest series of Berserk. It's the biggest example of the CGI turn. It's rough, but it happens. There's some spikes in quality in terms of animation, but it reminded me because you're talking about how Homegirl keeps on pulling stuff out of her boobs. He loses his sword, and she gives him a candle that apparently...
That's right. I forgot the candle.
Yeah, she goes right in, and I'm just like, is she just going to pull a sword?
I know, right?
Dude, that was legit. I thought it was
She's
gonna
like,
happen.
I have something you can borrow.
Yeah, and she just like...
Ma'am.
Hold on. I gotta keep going.
I have never seen boobs sway so much side to side before. I was like, this is a lot.
Dude, she was like a metronome.
Like,
We need to keep the rhythm of the song real quick. All right.
yeah, Jesus.
She pulls out a candle that apparently gets hot as you go find the sword. I think the only reason that episode existed was for the later episode where he goes to the questing board and realizes there isn't any giant rat quest.
Yeah, I know. I think, they just wanted to make a point.
I guess. It's so weird. There's a lot of those parts where it's just there's some non sequiturs. But he gets, I think at the end of the episode, he gets an invitation from the Sword Maiden, who, she was apparently part of an adventuring crew that killed the Demon Lords initially, which during, another thing going on throughout the show, part of the overarching thing is that the Demon Lords are attacking the capital.
Yeah.
And you're hearing about the stuff going on, but it's not the main part of the story. It's just kind of sitting in the background as a parallel to all these crazy giant demon fights going on, like, oh my god, and then you're seeing the Goblin Slayer just killing goblins, but it's I think it's supposed to be the parallel between just because if something's a fate of the world doesn't mean that something that's like a fate of a village doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think that's the whole point of it.
Those last episodes.
Yeah. But he gets invited by the Sword Maiden, who was apparently part of an adventuring crew that 10 years ago sealed the Demon Lords, and she became basically the face for her god, an archbishop, and which the priestess finds out that they're going to meet her, and she's all hyped because she's I'm going to meet my maker. Not really maker, but
they take a bath together.
That's later. You save that shit. You put that in the back pocket.
Hey, we don't have a lot of time, so what do you want to put in this episode?
I don't know. So let's talk about the arc, right? So it's 3 episodes. And it's the arc that confused me the most. Because the Sword Maiden, right, is this character who is a badass because she killed a demon lord and everything. But her big reveal for one of her character traits is that she ended up, I guess before the demon slaying or whatever, killing the demon lord, she ended up...
She was a plaything.
She ended up being a plaything for the goblins, and she ended up getting blinded from it, and that's why she wears like this black cloth and everything.
Yeah.
And so it's supposed to be this whole arc with her of understanding why she did the things in that arc. And so at one point during the arc, they go in the sewers because they find out there's goblins in the sewers, and they shouldn't be here, but they end up being in this giant in this city. So they go in the sewers. They fight some goblins. They meet a giant albino gator, which looks really cool. Or they call it albino dragon.
Oh yeah.
They're like, they're running away from it. They're like, albino dragon, alligator. I don't care.
Yeah, like,
The dwarf's like, is this one of your cousins or whatever? The lizard folks like, I haven't seen my family forever, so I'm not too sure.
so great.
But they have they have another fight with they have this fight with this goblin champion. It's actually one of the best fights. Fucking elf ranger gets fucked up. She almost gets raped.
Yeah. Oh my god.
God, just
and her fighting with her arrow, and there's just strings of cloth that are covering. I mean, granted, she's about as gifted in the chest as I am, so I feel her. But that was. Oh, I think even in my notes, I got really upset about this thing, and I was like, "What the hell is going on?" And literally, he better not die.
Oh yeah, dude, way to end the series. So it ends up being they end up getting pretty screwed up, but the priestess gets bitten by the goblin champion, which I was like, holy shit.
Can we talk about just for a second that voice actor, that scream? Terrified me.
It was a good scream.
It was and then when you just hear it just enough in the background while he's trying to come to, I was like, this is rocking my shit in ways that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah. So during so before that, I because we had to go back to because isn't the bath thing before that big fight?
It is.
It is. So they meet. They go in the sewers beforehand. Did some reconnaissance. That's where the albino gator showed up, and they went back to go check on things.
Yeah.
Priestess is hanging out in a spa because she's like, we should go hang out in the baths or whatever. Which of course she's 15. I can't, man. I was sitting at the computer. I was just like, I can't handle this right now. And then the sword maiden comes up, and she's a woman.
Holy thickness. So she's
a woman.
And of course, Priestess, she's hella embarrassed, but I don't know. There's something with
It was weird. It was
almost kind of implying that she was attracted to her also.
No, I didn't get that from her. She covered up and everything. Here's the problem.
No, I'm talking about just her standing in front of her, but it could be for multiple reasons. It could just be over being oh my god, she's standing in front of me, but also oh my god, she's standing in front of me naked. And I'm
yeah,
Jesus.
The priestess, the sword maiden, is talking to the priestess about the Goblin Slayer, and she kind of gives her the same talk that the witch gave her.
Yeah, about him disappearing.
Yeah, being cautious or whatever. But the whole point of that scene is just it's mono fan service. It is. You can almost just skip that scene. Yeah, you almost just skip that scene. There's almost no point to it, but it adds to the issue I have with the Sword Maiden, and cutting back to that Goblin Champion fight, which also was a great scene too because there was poison gas and they brought a canary to kind of figure out the poison gas. There's a lot of watch the episode to get the full details and everything. That's one thing.
Killing it with freaking hair with the wig.
Oh yeah, the wig. Oh, there was this the skeleton that was hanged up and it had a wig on so that it could be a distraction. He uses that hair to choke the Goblin Champion, and then he stabs its eye out and all that, and
throws it.
Oh,
he throws it at the other little goblins.
Oh,
I was
dude,
oh,
the goblins were oh shit, man, he's this dude's bad.
That man still got up again.
Yeah, he's just who wants some? Who wants some? He you tell this dude's angry.
Yeah.
But he ends up meeting up with the priestess, and they all gather together, and they're all just trying calm and trying to figure things out. And apparently he gets grievously wounded.
Oh my god, so bad.
Yeah, and
he got his shit rocked.
He got his shit rocked and he dies. And there's how long was that eye on the canary?
Oh my god, yeah, that scene, I was is something, it was probably at least a minute?
A minute or two. The scene ends with the Goblin Slayer and the priestess both on the ground, and it cuts back to Canary, and it's a close up on the Canary's eye, back to the group, all
yeah,
just
you
kind
can
of
see them in in the reflection of the eye.
In the reflection, and for some reason they decided to sit on that with the music. I think the whole point was they wanted to use that whole score for a minute and a half.
Yeah, they were just letting that we want this to sink in that this man might actually be dead.
I honestly was just is there anything else going on? All right, I'm just going to go to the next episode.
Yeah.
I'm I understand that this is supposed to be he might be dead scene. Cut to the episode after.
Episode 8.
He wakes up in a bed
With the priestess.
Who's
Oh my
give her
God.
some clothing.
Well, it was the morning after. She had the blanket over her.
So you're as an audience member, you're sitting there wondering what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, because it just skips. It just goes straight to that. You have no idea what the hell happened until Sword Maiden comes into the room and explains it.
I think the opening of that episode though is when he's getting the training from the either like the
that thing
elf,
in the cave.
The thing in the cave. And there's like a thing in the cave that like trains him like to kill goblins, but it's very brief.
Because that's supposed to be like his nightmare at that moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
Oh.
Because you hear his voice when he's in that last.
Here it is.
Yeah. The Goblin Champion like knocked him out. You hear his same voice cutting through.
Yeah.
So there's a scene where he does like a riddle and he's challenging him as a kid because this is obviously after like his whole family's killed and his village is burned down. He obviously like ran off somewhere and this guy trains him to be a Goblin Slayer. But he wakes up, sees the priestess in the bed. He obviously he looks just like whatever, like doesn't give a shit.
He pulled the blanket over her.
Well, yeah, because again, not in terms of he puts the blanket over here. He cares.
He knows he's supposed to protect women.
Yeah, 100%. Protect the women's.
His sister taught him that.
Yeah, 100%. Chivalry ain't dead. Goblin Slayer here, and but he puts the blanket over her. He cares. He cares in the right ways. He doesn't care about he's not concerned about the fact of like whatever. He's not concerned about the fact that he woke up just next to her. He's like, oh, she's put that over her. All right, she's good. All right, great. Then move on. But then
he knew what happened, so
then the Sword Maiden shows up.
Oh Lord, that opening line, I was like, you did what now?
Yeah, huh? So apparently the only way you can have a resurrection spell is you have to be resting in a bed with a virgin. That's how it works. Hello?
I literally wrote he was resurrected by sharing a bed with a virgin. And that, not only does she say that when she comes in, she asks him, so how was it sharing a bed with me and her? And I was like, what happened? What?
So this is the point where you figure out what happened to the Sword Maiden because she has to explain the fact that she's not a virgin.
I wrote, Jesus fuck help me, you shared a bed with both Sword Maiden and Priestess? Lord. L-A-W-D. Lord.
He's about to catch a charge. And
it was a lot.
So she shows up and she tells him the story, but she's also acting like oddly sensual to him. Like she's rubbing her chest and like her boob.
She also rests her head on his bare shoulder because this man is ripped.
He's ripped. And the best part of it too, and I love this about Goblin Slayer, she goes like, oh, you worried? And she starts about to rest his head on her shoulder. He's like, bitch, get the fuck away from me. Like, good. Goblin Slayer don't give a shit. He's just like, whatever. I gotta go get my armor on, go back goblin slaying. And so the priestess wakes up. She's obviously like, what the fuck? Like, she has the natural reaction to that situation. But they all reconvene, and it's another kind of fillerish.
I just thought about the part where she goes, did you see? And he goes, yeah. Just deadpan. He's like the king of deadpan, just like, yeah, okay, uh-huh. And she's all like flustered, and she's like pulling stuff over her, and she's like, oh my God, did you see? And he's just, yeah. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, just straightforward. It's another semi-fillerish episode. They chill out. They do armor repairs and everything, and they all that. But they come to find out that there's a mirror in the sewers that leads
using as a gate.
And apparently you find out that yes, it is true that the goblins do come from the moon. Because it's you look at it, it's a green surface and it shows them all off, but they figure out that somehow they're coming through this mirror and they're reconvening. And so there's a giant fight scene. The goblin, I forgot the goblin champion came back. I thought they killed him for a second. I was like, oh no, he didn't kill him.
He came back with his one eye.
Oh dude, and mad. Dude was mad. He was like, I want my eye back. And Goblin Slayer was ready, whipped their ass. They collapsed the ceiling of the sewers on them.
Literally, I wrote on here, I was like, what a strategy.
Dude.
Like, we're going to rip this off the wall, and once we rip it off the wall, we're going to collapse everything, and it's just going to fall into the portal.
That's when the lizard folk summoner like used the get thick spell.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. He's just freaking just droid it out real quick.
Just got huge. And they used that to get the goblins out of there and all that. But after that, because of everything that had happened, everything kind of got correlated. He goes back to the Sword Maiden. And first off, the way he does it is hilarious.
It is great. It's funny.
He basically comes up to her and is basically asks her, "You knew about this, didn't you?" Mm-hmm. He's like, "You knew this was all going on," and she's like, "How'd you figure it out?" He's like, "I didn't. I just been asking the people I've been working with if they knew this was going on."
Yeah, and then also the albino alligator, and he like kept asking her what it was called. That he was like that thing, that albino thing.
Oh yeah.
She's like an alligator.
An alligator.
Thing.
Oh yeah, that's because another like weird like quirk with him is that he knows everything about goblins, but apparently all of his knowledge just went into goblins. He doesn't know anything else about the ogre, alligators, like anything else. No idea, no clue.
Yeah, but he knows a lot of different strategies to kill.
Yes.
So many.
Here's the thing. The Sword Maiden is a moron.
Oh my god, she infuriated me. This whole scene, I'm like, did I write anything? Oh.
What did you write?
I wrote, the only sentence I have is, she said, slay the goblins in my dreams, ... Jesus!
I will cherish you. Dude.
The dumbest shit I've ever heard.
No, so she apparently knew about this going on, right? And she had the whole traumatic thing with, being the plaything of the goblins and all that. And but she knew about it. She knew about this thing going on because apparently the mirror was left by demon worshippers, demon acolytes, to bring in the goblins and to cause chaos and everything. But because there was stuff going on in the capital, I guess either they left it or they got defeated and moved that way or whatever. But it got left, and so the goblins just kept on flooding through. She knew about this and was like, hold up. I'm going to let them keep going through because I want them to understand the pain I went through and the horrors of the goblins that I experienced.
So awful.
I wanted her dead. I wanted him to, like, she was like, are you going to kill me? He's like, no, like, I don't have, you're not a goblin. But I was like, this woman's insane.
Yeah,
there's just everything. And like at the episode ends, she's like, thank you, whatever. I'm like, no, she's not. There's no irredeemable quality about her. She let people die in her hands. It was definitely, if there's a weak point of that arc, it's her. And the problem is that she's like one of the central points because the whole arc wants you to empathize with her and wants you to understand that she had even being as strong as she was, she had issues with the goblins and it establishes the goblins as a threat. But the problem is that it gets completely invalidated by the fact that she was just like, nah, cool, fam. I want you all to understand how I freaking feel before I get the Goblin Slayer. What?
Yeah.
It's insane.
If you have if you are in a situation where you have the ability to be a bigger man, do it.
Yeah.
Don't. Nobody deserved any of that. None of them even knew that she went through that, let alone like... It was just like, that'd be fine.
Her whole reasoning behind not wanting to call Goblin Slayer initially was also because she was like, oh, if she called him before like letting all that stuff happen or whatever, she was worried that it was like a pride thing for her. Like she was worried that she was going to be viewed this weak because she can kill a demon lord, but goblins, she can't deal with goblins.
She can't take them on.
You want to understand and establish how awful goblins are?
Literally nobody in this damn series besides this one man like takes goblins seriously, and literally every other adventurer is like, why would you want to fight them? They're so dumb, like there's no point. They're all shot to the side, and I just don't understand because like he's proving that this is like a serious issue, but nobody in this fucking story believes that.
It's not until the last episode where cutting through filler, you're meeting up with all the other adventurers and all their stories kind of build up to this final fight at the farm.
Yeah.
He finds out there's goblins at the farm. They're going to attack it.
He checks for footprints every morning.
Checks for footprints every morning as your boobs jiggle.
Yep.
They go and find out that there are goblins that attack the farm, and he gets the entire Adventurers Guild to help him. And because he's been such a legend, and because he's earned respect throughout this series as the Goblin Slayer, and he pretty much tells them that he's willing to give everything in his life.
But he said he had no jurisdiction over his life.
Correct.
Cowgirl.
Because he would make a woman cry.
Yeah.
Because he would make someone incredibly sad. I think it's actually what he said.
No, yeah.
But that respect again, man. That Goblin Slayer is just pimp. But because of the way he handles it, even the spear guy is like, you know what? Fine, we'll help you out. But
not even everybody hops on it until the fucking front desk girl like runs to the back and gets the guild to agree that they get 1 gold coin per fucking goblin.
Per goblin killed.
That's the only way that they got everyone.
Right.
Like, she's the MVP over here because everybody else is just a dick.
Absolutely. Because she's like, yo, Senpai wants me to get all the people to kill goblins or whatever. Hell yeah.
Yeah, she was like straight MVP for that.
Slay King Slay. It's in his name. But they get everyone together, which it also establishes that adventurers are kind of greedy pieces of shit, which, I mean, if you're play D&D, you know that. But they get everyone together and they have this giant fight, and it's a well done fight. Everyone's in it together, even the crappy rookie character.
I still think I wrote somewhere in here fucking rookies because they just come in the middle. Oh yeah, because he got straight just stabbed. And he was like, "I'm so happy I bought armor."
I bought armor. I'm like, "Oh really?"
He just stood there and looked at it, and it went thunk. And that was it. And I'm like,
done.
This fucking man is so stupid.
He's so dumb.
Can we talk? Because I wrote her. Wait, where? Ripped ass girl. She was a powerhouse that I was not prepared for. God. Barely any clothing on. Like, just ripped to... Like, you think that Goblin Slayer is ripped? This bitch is, like, top tier fucking...
She shows up out of nowhere, too.
She really does. I was like, y'all just skipped her? Like, yeah. I need some information. Right. Like, I need to know. I'm guessing she's a warrior, because she just went in there and just... full brutalized.
She looked like she was like from a far off land or something like that. Whatever.
Because she was super tan too.
Very tan, and may or may not want her to crush my head. Anywho,
that was wild. I was
like, this is a whole thing. But,
I put fucking Ricky still in the way. Because it gets to that point in the fight, and they're like, some of the silver rank guys are like, if you're not comfortable doing this, get out.
Oh yeah, well that's because they clear ogres. Out. Yeah, the goblin champions. There's a difference.
Yeah, but wasn't there ogres also? Were they all champions?
No. The ogre was the guy in the temple initially. Oh, okay. The goblin champions are just bigger goblins. Yeah, well yeah.
But yeah. Also, what a fucking strategy. This man knows the complete ins and outs of these damn creatures. Like, he knew exactly what wave was going to come first, what they should do. Then the riders are going to come out.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have, like, everybody needs to be here and here. It was fucking nuts. Like,
yeah.
Strategy.
It was very well planned out. It was a very fun fight scene between not only the initial battle, the Goblin Champions that showed up, because the Goblin Champions fight all the veterans, and the veterans get to have their moment. But the Goblin Slayer versus the Lord was insanely good, especially the way it ended and how it tied into the very start of the series. With he finds the Goblin Lord, starts beating his ass, but then Goblin Lord gets one on him, and he's about to like crush his head in.
Well, he stomped on his head several times.
Yes.
He was about to swing on him.
Yeah, about to just crush him. And then the priestess.
She fucking came out. Full power.
MVP. Cast double protection, 2 walls, and sandwiches him in between them both. like a BLT. Like some bacon, lettuce, tomato. You throw some mustard and mayo on that bitch, and yeet. He was in between that shit, and he starts begging for his life. And
crying.
Crying, and it cuts back to her, and it shows a adventurer, probably just it cuts back to his life, right? Where he's like a baby goblin, and his adventurer's like, I'm not gonna kill, I feel bad. And he like, sob me, and immediately cuts to like, yeah. And it just shows him just doing awful, terrible things.
Because of course it was a woman adventurer that didn't kill him.
Right.
I was like, oh.
Yeah. And then it cuts back right to the priestess, and she's just like, nah.
Yeah. Nah.
No.
And then he broke his sword off in the Goblin Lord's stomach, and then takes that blunt, broken edge of that sword and just
right into the neck.
Oh my god!
Right into the neck. The final episode ends pretty well, and then right as it goes into it, they have a big tavern drinking celebration and everything. One of the paladin, who was one of like the veteran adventurers, starts complaining because she only got 1 coin for killing one of the giant champions, and they're like, "Well, it was a goblin per coin." Like
even she literally says, she's like, even Goblin Slayer got 1. He only got 1 for the Lord.
1 coin for the Lord, which then he gives to the priestess.
I know, that was so wholesome. She was sleeping on his shoulder.
So nice. You're just like, oh.
I literally wrote. And then that's when he says he wants to be an adventurer. I was like, that's wholesome as hell.
Oh, it was so good.
Look at him coming full circle.
And then to end the series, the priestess is like, I didn't get to see your face because I covered my eyes and everything when you're, in the bed with me and everything like that. The deed is done. And so he takes off his helmet. You don't see his face. You see like the bottom. They pull a Kakashi.
Yeah.
They don't actually show his
he's got like a silverish colored hair.
Yeah.
You know.
But you know that.
Well, yeah.
But so they come in, he takes off his helmet, and it's in the bar. So everyone's like, oh my God, he's so handsome. Somebody was like, I thought he was a goblin.
I know, somebody said, I had money that he was a woman.
It's a woman. I'm like, what? Jesus.
They were like, bring the bets out. I had money that was a woman. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah.
This poor man.
Yeah. Well, it's also funny, too, because during one of the filler episodes, he does show up outside of his armor, like not wearing everything, and nobody recognizes him.
Oh, yeah. He just walks around because he gets it repaired.
Yeah. The only person I think that knew was the witch, because the witch looks at him and goes, there's no quest here. And she's like, okay. So I think she knew, but ends with that. They show his face, and it cuts to white, and it's very, it puts a nice bow on it. And I understand if they're doing a second season because they want to add more to it.
Yeah.
But it ended pretty well. Here's my feelings on Goblin Slayer as a series. It hits all my notes. I'm a huge D&D fan. I'm a huge fantasy nut. Yes, it has its. It doesn't do anything crazily original. Like I can pinpoint references and inspirations as the series went along.
Yeah.
The D&D motif got a bit heavy. The hero demon lord thing off to the side was interesting because there's a character named the hero, and it's this chick and like her two party mates, and they kill the demon lord, and it goes off to the side. And it's parallel to Goblin Slayer's story.
Again, she just like they randomly throw in there that she's like now the 10th person in the world to get platinum. They just throw that in there. They're like, there's a celebration. Okay, bye. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. It's weird. But so there's the filler episodes and the stuff that goes on the side is neat for world building. But the one gripe one of the gripes I have is that the world isn't very detailed.
No,
in terms of name conventions, in terms of what places are, iconography and everything. But it doesn't really need it, because to me it just feels like a fun game of D&D after the first episode. And that's the other thing, is tone. Going from the first episode to the rest of the series, if you have a problem with very extreme shit, don't watch the first episode, because it's going to deter you from a series that otherwise has fun, cool moments. It still has its moments of and
I was about to say, if the episode starts with viewer discretion is advised,
they all do.
No, they don't.
Don't all of them don't?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
I literally pointed that out. I was like, They did put an advisory warning on the ones that show rape.
Right.
And a lot of like really They love the blood, so there's a lot of like bloody murder.
It gets violent. If you don't like violent animes, then don't watch this one. No. That's definitely on that end. But that should be self-explanatory. But for everything else, it's a fun show, and I enjoyed it. Just the main things is don't expect uber detailed stuff. You're gonna hate the Sword Maiden arc, especially the reasoning why.
Dear God.
I just say don't take it too seriously. Just have fun with it.
Yeah, I mean it's more like it's a very light anime to get through. Like it wasn't. Again, when we say that like they put that one episode in there where it just like recaps everything, you could literally watch just that episode and know everything that happened up to that point.
Yeah.
The only thing you don't know is the final battle. And that's coming from the person who watched half of it. You could literally know everything.
Oh God.
It is that just like it took all of the most important moments out of every single episode and put them into one. That's literally what it did.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was on purpose to like have an episode like that or what. I mean, I guess it could if you didn't want the like cute filler stuff. I mean,
yeah. I don't understand what the purpose of making that an episode was. Maybe because of Goblin's Crown or whatever. But even then, Goblin's Crown gives you the recap before anyway, as you told me.
Yeah, freaking yeah. If you're gonna watch Goblin's Crown, skip the first 25 minutes because it's literally the entire anime. So if you're on a binging series like we were, don't watch it.
Yeah.
Thank you to the people on Crunchyroll that put that in the comments because I would have died if I made it all the way through 25.
Yeah. But yeah, that is Goblin Slayer in a nutshell. If you want just a good, fun fantasy adventure show, go for it. Go nuts. It's a good 6 hours.
And it gives you a little bit of fan service for the people who want that. It gives you a little bit of ooh service for the people who want that.
Yeah, but I as somebody who doesn't particularly care about that, I just tell you guys to skip it. Like it doesn't service much. But yeah, that's Goblin Slayer. Like that's our thoughts on it. If at any point any of y'all leave comments in the comment section besides
our random spam comments that like to come in.
Yeah, that shit was funny because you're like, who's this comment over here? And we looked and it was just like, I literally looked at their Facebook and it's all, not their Facebook, their YouTube, and it's all those same comments with links and going
and
places.
I was like, I am not going to touch this link. We're going to report this and move
delete
on.
it, 100%. But if you guys do decide to rate, comment, subscribe, like all that stuff, let us know. Let us know your thoughts and everything, and start a conversation. Because we care about you. I want to, hear from you. Kiss, kiss.
Dear Lord.
I appreciate you guys. This was a fun episode. It was good.
Yeah.
It was good to talk about it.
Just talking about stuff, talking about anime.
Anime. Yeah, hopefully, I don't know what our next one's going to be, but I think our next anime is going to be. We know what our next episode is going to be. But also, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
It's coming out, though. Well, this will be the week before. But
right.
Yeah, so Christmas is around the way. Kwanzaa's around the way. Your
Hanukkah,
holiday
Hanukkah
stuff. Your winter solstice is around the way. So whatever you be doing, have fun with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Be safe.
Yeah, please be safe.
Oh yeah. Be safe. Wrap some presents. Have a Zoom Christmas Day. Just do you.
Party.
Right. I'll catch y'all later, guys.
Well, yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, no. I don't know what that was.